T watches a scary movie. My name is T. We're talking scary movies. I appreciate you tuning in for another brand new video. Remember, new episodes go up every Wednesday night at 8:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. You can catch the video version on the YouTube page, which is youtube.com/c/Theron Reynolds Scary Movie. And the audio only version goes up half an hour at least earlier than the video, and you can find that on your favorite podcasting platforms by searching T Watches a Scary Movie or TWASM. But of course, if you're not subscribed to those, the best way to stay up to date is to get subscribed to my link tree, which is linktr.ee/T Scary Movie. If you get subscribed to my link tree, not only will it keep you up to date on videos, on audio versions, but you also get links to my TikToks, to my Letterboxd reviews, which I typically put out before I do my videos as well, and all my other social media. So hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, y'all, and let me know in the comment section what you're watching and what you want me to watch as well too, because I'm gonna need great suggestions here for the winter time. So y'all let me know what you're watching and what you need me to review and check out for you. So while this is not a full episode of the show, folks, I got a killer review for you because I am talking Saw X. That's right, the 10th installment of the Saw franchise. I got to go see it last night, opening night, and all its 2-hour glory. And y'all, woo! I am ready here. Let's not waste any time. Let's jump right into this now. So, when the original Saw came out back in 2004, I was in my senior year of high school and knee-deep in the 2000s horror scene. Dawn of the Dead, we had The Ring, we had Darkness Falls, we had Valentine. I know, I'm a sucker for 2000s horror. Absolutely love it. Cherry Falls, another really great one. There's so many other 2000s horror in there to talk about, but I remember when the original Saw came out. I remember seeing all the trailers and hearing about it from all of my friends, and you can guess the one scene that was memorable from the trailers and that all your friends were talking about if back then you knew people who were going to see Saw. And if you don't know what that is, folks, obviously it involves Carrie Elwes and a hacksaw. Everybody knew about that when it was coming out, and weirdly enough, I didn't go and see the first Saw in theaters. I mean, I watched it on DVD, months later when it came out, but I did not see the original Saw in theaters, at least then. I've seen it in theaters since then. I've seen every Saw movie in theaters at this point now, but I didn't see it in theaters then. And regardless of the fact that the first Saw was such a massive hit, y'all, it made $100 million or over $100 million, I want to say, off was it a $1 million budget? Or it was $9 million, I forget. But Saw was a massive, massive hit. And I don't think that the original director, James Wan, who has gone on to incredible things and launched so many other horror franchises like Insidious and the Conjuring universe in the meantime, or Lee Whannell, who starred as Adam in the first film, who also wrote the first 3 films, or even Lionsgate, the studio behind it, would ever think that in almost 20 years, because it'll be 20 years next year for the Saw franchise, that we would get 9 more sequels and over $1 billion in revenue. Yet here we are, and after sitting out 2021's Spiral, Tobin Bell is back again, this time in starring duties, finally, in Saw X. Now, Jigsaw and Spiral writers Josh Stolberg and Peter Goldfinger, alongside Saw 6 and 7 director Kevin Greutert, all return for behind-the-scenes duty in Saw X. And it's interesting when you compare that to other horror franchises out there, because when it comes to behind-the-scenes roles in the Saw franchise, they've really kept it in the family, so to speak. Whether it's the producers, the writers, the directors, this has seemingly made like the connective tissue across all these films much easier to be mindful of, because whether you're a writer of the previous one and became a director, you were the editor and you became a director, cinematographer and you're doing that, everybody is like, they know what's going on in this franchise. It's the only way I can describe it is like you have fans of this franchise directing this film, and I think that's incredibly cool, because when you think about all these other horror franchises, a lot of times the films kind of like they blend together, but they also don't, because not the same voice is being used. And I don't mean to say that as a negative thing for the various directors and writers that we have, because I love the Saw franchise, but I love the fact that each film is able to at least not like hurt what the other films have done. Regardless of your opinion of the other films in the franchise, they just don't hurt the other films that have been out. That's so great. And I think part of that is because of the fact that they've kept the same people working on these films for 20 years now. And regardless of the fact this is the 10th installment in Saw, Saw X is actually set after the first film, which is crazy to think, because that's a cause of concern for me these days with a lot of other horror franchises, because we're getting a lot of legacy sequels these days, and some of them, they continue on and they carry what the other films in the franchise are trying to do. Like, they don't erase anything at all. But there are other franchises out there that basically say, you know what? No, we're only working with the first film. We're erasing everything else at this point. And it sucks, because a lot of other franchises, there are films in there that you want to see kept in canon. And with Saw, it seems like this was obviously the right idea to do, and that obviously the writers who have wrote in previous films and the director who has directed previous films here, they don't want that previous work to go away. They just want to tell more stories with the guy who hasn't gotten much screen time across this franchise. And it's very clear they were given free rein on this, because obviously they probably could have done a sequel that takes place after the 8th movie, which would be Jigsaw. But instead they decided to take it all back, and it feels like an early 2000s film, which is ridiculous, y'all. John Kramer, who is Tobin Bell, is the Jigsaw killer, and he is dying of terminal brain cancer, as we learned in the first Saw film. Now, after attempting to make peace with the time he has left, he runs into a fellow terminal patient that he's met at a support group who's made a full recovery. With the information gathered from this patient, John sets off to Mexico to get this life-saving procedure, only to find out that the entire operation is a sham that has targeted numerous people for financial gain. So with the help of his apprentice Amanda Young, played by Shawnee Smith, returning to the franchise, John decides that it's time for a game. Love this, y'all. Absolutely love it. It's insane to think of the 9 films preceding Saw X that Kramer might have been the catalyst for everything that was going on, but he didn't have much in the way of screen time. The one film that featured him more than normal, which was Saw 3, was the movie that he dies in too, along with Amanda, funny enough. And it's clear that no matter of your opinion of the franchise up to date, Tobin Bell absolutely needed to be given an actual starring role with plenty of screen time. Bell's scenes in the previous films always carried so much weight to them. Typically, no matter how big or small it was, he was interacting with somebody who was going to become a future victim and basically pointing out their fuck up. Like basically showing how, look man, you can avoid all of this right now just by doing this. And not even something painful, like literally have a heart. Have a heart, think about people, don't be like, don't be full of yourself, don't be conceited, and you probably be all right at this point. But he's never really had much more than that after Saw 3. And, you know, the fact that Saw 6 not only gives us John Kramer in a starring role, but they managed to paint him in an uplifting light compared to these other films. That's ridiculous for a 10th film in a franchise. You know, the exploration of John and Amanda's relationship just didn't allot for enough time in previous films. And the fact that we get this 2-hour runtime, this allows for so many more emotionally poignant moments between the two of them. And it's definitely deserved after how much time we've all put into this franchise. Because I think one of the best things was Amanda Young and John Kramer's relationship in those first 3 movies. And bits and pieces in the films after that. But I think those first 3 films, like that was what was so good about those two, honestly. And very interesting because, you know, we know Saw 2 is coming, obviously, but Amanda is still slowly accepting the doctrine because you can't really talk about it without talking about the other films of the franchise, and I really want to kind of stay away from that when it comes to plot. But Amanda hasn't really fully accepted what Jigsaw here is trying to do. And she has a deep love for him. She has a loyalty to Kramer for sure, but she just doesn't agree with his methods at times. And for other franchises where we've seen the villains front and center, not many of them have attempted to put your villains in the role of protagonists and actually do it in a good way. Because how many franchises out there could you actually put that villain in that kind of role and it works perfectly? Like, we love Freddy, we love Jason, we love Chucky, but those characters are never going to be able to be the good guy in a film. It just doesn't make sense. Even Freddy versus Jason, you know, we couldn't make that work to make either one of them the good guy. And even more recently, Don't Breathe 2. Ugh, oof, bomb. Not the way to do that at all there. And Saw X isn't perfect at its execution of it, but I know for a fact I was only having brief moments wrestling with my support of Jigsaw and his apprentice, and I think that's a great win for Josh Stolberg and Peter Goldfinger, because they truly make it easy for the audience to root for this diabolical duo. There's not going to be that many times where you're feeling weird about the fact that you're supporting them. Now, anybody who's been a fan of this franchise doesn't have to tell you that there's an actual story here. Saw always gets confused or gets accused of not having a legible or credible story amongst the franchise, but I feel like people just don't pay attention if they're saying that. They're just focusing on the traps, because that's actually been one of the best things about the franchise, is the story that's been carried throughout all the films. Even with all the retconning that they do, the story has been one of the best things. And the fact that Saw X not only can be a sequel that continues on the story from the first film, but it also doesn't really tread on anything that happens in the later films, and we do get some Easter eggs. The fact that this movie works as a standalone film is insane to think, y'all. It is a story that's actually going to hit you deep, and you don't need to actually know most about the franchise to really watch and enjoy it. Now, I know y'all want to know about traps, and there are traps galore here for those of you who got that bloodlust for sure. And while, yeah, I had to look away a few times, y'all, I ain't got that stomach like I did when I was younger. I think, barring one very specific trap involving a Geely saw, that there's nothing worse here than what we've seen before. Like, I actually feel that there's been a few other films in the franchise that had like scenes and deaths that were far harder to watch. And that's not a negative thing as well, because again, yeah, we come into these films to see the traps, but they don't have to be the only thing that's good about it here. So I don't think you're going to get anything over the top compared to what you see in the other films, but that Geely saw trap, woo, that is one for sure. And it really begs the question of how much more depraved could this franchise get? Now, I'm not going to mince words here. If Spiral is to be considered a spin-off of the Saw franchise, then Saw X, without question, is the best film in the Saw franchise. Now, if Spiral's number one for me. But if Spiral's considered a spin-off, Saw X is absolutely the best movie in this franchise, bar none. The traps are satisfying for those of y'all who are looking for your blood and gore. We've been able to successfully transition our leads, who are finally getting some screen time, into protagonists that we can root for. And the story is surprisingly emotional and damn good. Saw 6 gets to join other amazing legacy sequels like Candyman and Scream 5 to show just how you're supposed to keep continuity and make such a later entry that good. Now, if you're not a fan of a franchise, I don't know how much this is gonna sell you on seeing it and enjoying it. Because if you don't like any of the other ones, no matter how good this is, I don't know how well you're gonna like this, but y'all, this is the one to check out for sure. Please go and check it out for yourself, and when you do, tell me in the comment section, what was your favorite trap, and did you have a hard time rooting for Amanda and John in this film? Let me know, but Saw 6 is in theaters everywhere, folks. That's going to do it for me. I appreciate you checking out this review. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, because over on my TikTok, I'm going to be showing off the Billy the Puppet popcorn bucket that I was able to pick up here. That's so fucking cool. I'm so excited to show y'all. So hit that subscribe button on the link tree to find out, and stay tuned. I got more reviews coming up for y'all down the line. My name is T. We've been talking scary movies. Stay scared. Hey everybody, I appreciate you tuning in for another brand new episode, movie review, game review, whatever it is now at this point. Don't forget, you want to get subscribed to my official channel so you can stay up to date for when I'm dropping new episodes, reviews, news, whatever it is. The best way to do that is get subscribed to my link tree. That's going to be linktr.ee/tscarymovie. Again, linktr.ee/tscarymovie. That'll keep you up to date with new videos, podcast links for the audio only version, as well as my letterbox where you can find written reviews. Get subscribed and don't forget, keep watching scary movies, folks. Stay scared.